to make a disclosure to the target company and the stock exchange within 2 working days. Any person buying more than 5% shares in a listed company should make this disclosure. This is disclosure number 1 under Regulation 29, Sub-Regulation 1. And anybody who already has 5% or more, people already holding 5% voting rights in the company, if there is a change of plus or minus 2% voting rights during the year, then they will also have to intimate the target company and the stock exchange within 2 working days. This regulation is under Regulation 29, Sub-Regulation 2. So these are event-based disclosures. Whenever somebody buys 5% and whenever somebody who already has 5% buys or sells, this includes both 2% of voting rights, then such events should be followed by a disclosure given by such an acquirer, PAC, to the stock exchange and the target company. This 5% limit will be increased to 10% if you are part of the Innovator Growth Platform, that is startup companies. So for startup companies, there is a separate platform given under BSE and NSE, and they can raise money from the public using this platform. But there, if there is a 10% acquisition instead of 5, and if people holding 10%, if there is a change of plus or minus 2%, they will then make this event-based disclosure. Apart from this, there are 3 other disclosures under Regulation 31, 31.1, 31.2 and 31.3. This is relating to encumbered shares. Encumbered shares are those shares which are pledged to take a loan. Whenever a company requires urgent financial help or support, such companies will take their own equity shares and they will pledge it with a bank, with a financial institution, or with entities like Manappuram, Muthoot, etc. And these banks and NBFCs will give you a loan at a very good rate. So whenever a promoter or any other PAC takes the loan, they will create an encumbrance. Encumbrance, or in other words, a charge, not on the assets, on the equity shares of the company. That is why they are only called as an encumbrance. Charge is always on assets, encumbrances are always on equity shares, which means if you don't repay this loan, this bank that you have taken this loan by pledging your shares will now become the equity shareholder of your company. So whenever you take this loan, you create the encumbrance. Whenever you repay the loan, you will release the encumbrance. And how much loan is taken every year, those annual details, all of them should be intimated to the stock exchange within 7 working days. 2 working days for event-based disclosure, 7 working days for encumbered share disclosure. These are the things that you will have to disclose as part of this chapter. If you can remember these regulations for the very first time in your entire syllabus, I'm asking you to remember regulation numbers. So it will be preferable if you can remember these for your exam. It does create a good impact on the paper evaluator. So at the end of every year, on 31st March of every financial year, how many total shares were pledged? What is the outstanding shares? How many of those were repaid, etc. That details will be again submitted by the promoter and the PAC to the stock exchanges where your company shares are listed within 7 working days. So that pretty much is what your chapter is all about. Now we will look into the process.